Yo, what is up guys, Akara here, back again with another banger of a video for Wuthering Waves. Today, before we get into what I actually want to talk about, I want to say thank you all so very much for watching and how massive this channel has gotten in such a short period of time. Between my first release plan getting 10,000 views and this channel almost hitting 500 subscribers, I cannot be more thankful for everyone who is supportive of me, and we are going to do great things on this channel. Speaking of the release plan, I am actually working on a 2.0 version of the release plan because a lot has happened since the first plan came out that has pretty much shifted a lot of the direction that I was going for in the first release plan, and there are a lot more helpful tools out with the Echo web event and everything else that we'll be getting for free when the game launches. So anyway, today I want to talk about what echoes that you should be going for in the web event based on what gameplay style you want to go for in Wuthering Waves. Now there is a lot to talk about here, so I'm just gonna get right into the video. So first things first, I want to thank Michu Zach for creating this absolutely wonderful graphic showing all the different echoes that we can get from the web event and what characters that they work best with. So basically what I'm going to talk about is what each echo does in terms of their skill, so that way you can figure out which one you want to lock for your web event, because remember that once you lock an echo on the web event, you cannot unlock it. So it's pretty much set in stone once you have locked it which one you are going to get when you hit level 8 in Wuthering Waves. So it is quite important which one you decide to lock, especially since there is no going back once you lock it. Now, one of the first things that I want to point out is that Taoqi and Wanwu and Bazi are not on the list for different reasons. With Taoqi and Wanwu, they are not on the list because they have attacks that scale from defense percent, and Bazi is not on the list because her healing and coordinated attacks scale from HP. So basically, a lot of these echoes and what they do are not only just their skill, but also giving stat boost and things of that nature. So to help players out who want to pick an echo for one of these three characters in particular, what I would say the best course of action is to pick an echo that matches that character's element. What I mean by that is Bazi is a Glacio character, right? So if you can pick a echo that works for two Glacio characters, let's say if you want to also go for Lin Yang, or if you want to use Sanhua on your team, then you can go for an echo that has the Glacio element. Same thing with Wanwu, who is the Electro element, so if you're going for, let's say, Calcharo or Yinlin, then you could also use that echo on Wanwu. Taoqi is of the Havoc element, so if, let's say, the only other Havoc character is Danjin, so if you plan on using Danjin and Taoqi, then you just go for an echo with the Havoc element. So I am going to be going from left to right to left to right to left to right. So let's start off with the Violet Feathered Heron. So I already talked about the Violet Feathered Heron in my Yinling build video, but basically you transform into the Violet Feathered Heron and enter a parry stance. You counterattack when the parry stance is over, dealing 324% electro damage. If attacked during the parry stance, you can counterattack and advance and additionally recover 5 Concerto energy. Now remember, the 324% electro damage is subject to change in terms of how much percentage of damage that's going to actually be, but in terms of what this ability actually is, that's more than likely going to stay the same, along with whether or not we will recover exactly 5 Concerto energy. 5 is also subject to change, but you still will be recovering Concerto energy nonetheless. So if you like going for a more defense is the best offense type deal and like counterattacking and parrying, this is definitely a echo that you're going to want to go for. Next up we have the Xian Feathered Heron. Transform into Xian Feathered Heron and charge at the enemies, dealing 266.4 arrow damage. This echo skill interrupts enemies' special skills upon dealing damage. So this sounds very useful for when you're dealing with boss fights or any sort of maybe elite enemy that is stronger than your typical run-of-the-mill kind of enemy that you would run into anywhere in the map that has some sort of special attack, and this echo just allows you to completely interrupt it and deal damage back to it. Up next we have the Tambourinist. Summon a Tambourinist that periodically emits Melodies of Annihilation. Friendly units hit with Melodies of Annihilation deal an extra 16.2% of havoc damage with their attacks up to 10 times. So basically this sounds like this works really well for Donjin and Tauki, allowing you to stack Melodies of Annihilation and get extra havoc damage out. Up next we have the Rose Shroom. Rose Shroom's ability is you summon a Rose Shroom that fires a laser, dealing 64.21% havoc damage up to 3 times. I love anything that fires lasers, so that sounds honestly sick. Up next we have the Havoc Dreadmane. Transform into Havoc Dreadmane to perform 2 tail strikes up to 2 times. Each strike deals 158.22% havoc damage. An additional strike will be performed on hit, dealing 105.48% havoc damage. Up next we have the Auto Puppet Scout. Transform into Auto Puppet Scout, dealing 565.20% glacio damage to the surroundings and generate up to 3 ice walls to block off the enemies. Okay, that sounds really cool, actually. Imagine using this with Sanhua, like zoning with the ice walls, and then you're also setting up the ice prisms, the ice thorns, and the glaciers. So that way it's like even more like a setup, and then you just deal a whole bunch of damage. That sounds really cool, actually. Up next, we have the Carapace. So I have run into a small problem when talking about the Carapace. It is the Sierra Gale and Moonlit Cloud element type. When I filter on Wuthering Lab, the Sierra Gale and Moonlit Cloud, there's no Carapace anywhere. So this, I would imagine, is a echo that was announced through this event, because even on .gg, they don't even have the Carapace in their database either. You can even search it. Nothing. So just in case, I did go ahead and make sure that all the other echoes on the rest of this list are here in the Wuthering Lab database, and they are. But at the very least, you will be able to use Hu Chief Cyclone and Sion Feathered Heron, since they are both the Sierra Gale elements. But before we get to Hu Chief Cyclone, we have to talk about Virid Blaze Saurian. Had to come to .gg for this one, but you use this echo skill to summon the Virid Blaze Saurian to continuously spew fire, causing 15.7% fusion damage 10 times, with a skill cooldown of 25 seconds. Okay, now let's talk about the Hu Chief Cyclone. Transform into Hu Chief Cyclone and smack the enemies, dealing 268.2% arrow damage. For anyone who plays Super Smash Bros., I totally just think of Donkey Kong using his down B attack where he just smacks the ground a whole bunch of times. That was absolutely broken in Super Smash Bros. Melee when you were trying to do the 100-man melee to get Falco. Real ones know. Anyway, we have 5 left to cover. The Rocksteady Guardian is up next. Oh wow, that's a longer skill than everyone else that we've read so far. Transform into Rocksteady Guardian and enter a parry state. This sounds a lot like Violet Feathered Heron, but I'm curious as to where they differ. Upon being attacked, deal spectro damage equal to 9.32% of the current character's max HP, and perform a follow-up attack that deals spectro damage equal to 9.32% of the current character's max HP. Use the Echo skill again to exit the transformation. If the attack received is a special skill attack, interrupt the enemy's special skill and perform a 2-stage follow-up attack, each inflicting spectro damage equal to 6.21% of the current character's max HP. These follow-up attacks simultaneously launch 3 groundbreaking waves, each inflicting spectro damage to 5.17% of the current character's max HP.
Huh?
That was a lot. Okay, anyway, so the easiest way I could think of summing this up is use this with a character who has a ton of max HP, and you will do way more damage with this. So if you plan on going for like a tank build, I could definitely see this being your Echo. And up next we have... That is not Flautist. So, who is that? Okay, I found it finally. It is the Stone Wall Bracer. So, transform into Stone Wall Bracer and charge forward, dealing 126.72% physical damage on hit, then smash to deal 190.08% physical damage and gain a shield of 10% of current character's max HP. Use the Echo skill again to exit the transformation state. This sounds like a great extra damage Echo for a support character type deal. Okay, and for real this time, the real Flautus. Now again, I already talked about Flautus in my Yinling build video because, well, that's the echo that I ended up locking and that I want to use, because you transform into Flautus and continuously emit electro lasers, dealing 59.94% electro damage for a total of 10 times, and you gain 1 concerto energy every time a hit lands. Again, I like shooting lasers, so that's why I want Flautus. Up next, we have the Spearback. Summon a Spearback to perform 5 consecutive attacks. The first 4 attacks deal 33.71% physical damage, and the last deals 57.78% physical damage. So it seems like all of the echoes that are part of the Moonlit Clouds are pretty basic. They do damage, but they're like, and this is just like the easiest way I could compare it, it's like the normal type in Pokemon, you know what I mean? Where it's not special in any like affinity, but it's just a basic attack type deal. Nothing wrong with it, just an observation. And then lastly, we have the Chasm Guardian. Transform into Chasm Guardian to perform a leap strike that deals 328% havoc damage on hit. Current character loses 10% HP after the hit lands. Periodically, restore current character's HP after 5 seconds for up to 10% of their max HP. Okay, I had to do some math in my head to figure this out. Basically, you definitely deal havoc damage on hit. You then lose 10% of your HP from where it's at initially. So like, let's say you have a character with 1 million HP and they lose 10%, so that's 100,000 HP that they lose, and then you periodically restore your HP after 5 seconds for up to 10% of the character's max HP. So let's say even if you had 1 million HP when you lost the 10%, let's say that your max HP is 2 million HP. So now you're going to heal 200,000 HP back because that's 10% of your max HP because it's 2 million. It's a little confusing, but I get it. Okay, and those are all of the echoes and the skills that they have that you are going to more than likely want to go for when you are rolling for echoes in the web event. Simply because these are the echoes that are going to give you much more gameplay variety when you actually use them compared to other echoes, allowing for more diversity in what you want to do in your combos and the way you want to play the game. But that's going to be the video here. Once again, Wuthering Waves is launching on May 22nd. It is an open world action RPG. I want to thank everyone so very much for watching. We are almost 2 weeks out from the launch, and I am so ready. I hope everyone has a beautiful day. Take care.